Hello everyone, I'm Xiao Gang. Okay, this is the last section of this chapter, the last subsection about VS compilation types. This is very important and closely related to our daily development. So what do we do now? Let's open the official documentation first. Let's go through it once. It shouldn't be too difficult. Then after we finish, let's take a look. Did we miss anything? Is there anything missing? Let's review. First, create a UEC++ project in the environment setup. We already showed you how to create. We guided you through creating a UEC++ project. It will automatically open our editor and VS together. After you create it, you probably don't have this OE object. It should look like this. Then let's mainly observe what options it has inside. What options are there? Okay, then. So first of all, after you create it, it looks like this. First, we need to understand UAweave supports multiple platforms. How does it support these platforms? In short, it abstracts out a virtual intermediate platform. Then, according to your needs, you can compile and package it for different platforms. What is the simplest way to package it? Let's just launch the project first. We are mainly talking about Windows here. The reason this part is actually quite complex is because of its design. It has different platforms, different packaging standards, and different target configurations for packaging. We often package right here. Look at this place. You can see this is for packaging a Windows build, and this is for packaging the project, which means cookie, content, assets. What is cooking? Cooking will be explained in detail in this chapter of our course. It means that it needs to process the current assets in the editor, bake it, that is, modify it specifically, into assets for each platform. That's what it means. Like this, these baked assets can then be used on each platform. Note this key point. Assets in the editor and baked assets cannot be mixed. You cannot load baked assets in the editor. You could do it through special means, but don't do it. It's meaningless. Let you in the editor. After packaging, you go to load assets from the editor. That won't work either. It's also meaningless. That is to say, these cooked assets, they can only be used in this cooked version on this platform. Also, different engine versions. Assets after packaging cannot be used. For example, UE55.0 and UE55.1. After we both package, it's the same project. These cooked assets after packaging, these pegs cannot be used interchangeably. If it's in the editor, it is possible to load lower versions. It might be possible to load lower version packages. But in practice, you should not do this. This is your version of the package. The PAC package is the one within the block. After packaging the assets, this organization method of combining them together is what we call a PAC package. You can think of it as ZAP, and this package restricts its use to this specific scenario. And this place is configuration, that is debug game or development or shipping, these several modes. We'll use Windows. We've built for Android before, right? For Android, you need to be careful. It's best to build mute. Many of you who watch my videos directly compile with ISTC. Then congratulations! It might still not run on your phone, because your Android package has you need to check this. Generally, you just compile this Android with this mute option. Then after you compile, it may not work in the emulator. It's better to test it on an actual phone. Of course, Android packaging has many permissions, and we won't go into detail about those. We just need to know that for Windows, we can compile packages with different configurations, right? Then you need to note that Unreal further distinguishes between the game editor and the client and server. These 4 versions, the latter two require separate configuration. So first we will talk about that is how Unreal configures these. It is configured through UBT and UHT. In short, let me emphasize again, don't look at the L list below. See, I don't even have an L list here. Let me try to find this L list and see if I can show it to you. Let me check. It seems I didn't see it. It should have been turned off by us. This is him. Don't look at this thing. See, my project is already running now, and it's still giving me errors. This AER list is useless, right? If you want to use it, set it to build only. Don't look at this natural prompt, so don't use it. Also, don't screenshot and send this AER. RAST. Once you send it to the group, 20-15 of the people in the group they'll all think in their hearts that this person is a newbie. Not very good. No good. Normally, you send this. Build this thing. This place will span for a while. There will be this field. Then you take the relevant tag warning. Take a screenshot of that in white text and send it. Everyone will know what your problem is at a glance. Okay, yours is that the package wasn't imported. Yeah, yours is a header file reference error. Or yours is correct, and don't change this thing. This thing is useless. Normally, we don't change it. There is only one situation to modify it. That is, you need to add command line startup parameters. You might modify this place. You won't modify it at any other time. Then we mainly modify this. This is called build.cs. UBT mainly looks at using UBT. It mainly links various modules through this thing. And then this is Target.cs. This specifies what kind of thing we want to package. Just erase it directly. Erasing it like this is a bit dangerous. If the editor hasn't saved, you might lose things. And here we can package it as this editor, the editor's game. There are some parameters here. We can click into it. You can see this file is located here, target.r. There are some parameters here. This is the default one. In build settings, it will learn accordingly here. When you create a project, it will specify it for you. Sometimes you can write it as nitix. The latest, that's fine too. Both can be directly set to latest. Look here. Just set it to latest direct. There's no problem at all. But note that each person's project configuration may be different. It will be different. So this target.cs determines what you want to package into. For example, the .cs determines how you link, how to read the paths. Okay, let's continue looking below. So actually this process is like this. This UHT, it will pass the code we generated. These macros we write in the code are actually all for providing information to UHT, then call the platform tool, then compile it again. Finally, we start it up. So this is a typical UBT. Their functions, these two files are definitions to chain modules. The build output depends on the reaction path. Then we can take a look. Look at the UBT and UHT here. Where are they? Let's search for it here. We directly click this button. This way, cops. Let's collapse it all. See, there is UHT, but do you see UBT? Then let's open our language code. Check if they have this UBT. It should be application. Epic on URL Ulatist. Here it comes. Then we scroll all the way down. Hey, where is it? Let's look for it. Hey, this place is UBT, right? Let me check. Look a bit more. Okay, you can see inside the share, there is an epic game mode. One should be related to UT. Then there's an Unreal build tour here, and we can see Unreal inside here. Some of our performance analysis tools, and we also have some new things recently. We'll talk about this standalone program later. This slide is for you, right? This should be new. I haven't seen this UGS before. Black games. So this is where then it scans. It specifically scans our, you see, maybe in our project, we haven't written this stuff yet. We can see games. We wrote a red here. It's created by default. We'll talk about it in the next chapter. After it loses this red, it will generate a bunch of code. Let's see if we can get in. It still won't let me in, right? If it won't let us in, forget it. Let's click to expand it in more detail. Anyway, this header file is UBTUHT. This thing they generated for us together. It will help us generate code. Then let's first take a look at this compilation option. Let's first look at the projects. This is a release version of the project. This is only debug game. It consists of two keywords, one before and one after. The front refers to the configuration. The back should refer to the target. Yes, this is configured as debug game. This is blank. The one after this is blank. This is DebugGame Editor. This one has development in the front. The back is blank. It is a blank game project. This is development. One is editor. That is the editor. This shipping means building a release package. A blank game. That's roughly what it means. Okay, later you should understand that blank means a standalone game project. That's what it means. It does not come with the editor. Then let's look at the build options for the Unreal Engine version. There are quite a few of these. You can see there is also Debug, Game Project, Debug Client Game, Debug Editor Game, Debug Server Game, then Debug Clamp, Debug Editor, Deliverment. For this client server, you need to do some configuration. Only then you will have the corresponding options. It has this many options. We can take a look at the levels. Look at the levels, like this. Look at a few more. Look more and you will understand. Because when you haven't been exposed to it, you need to look more. Look more. Let me see where my project is placed. You need it in the project. We've gone down once. It should be this place. Not local. Should be local. Okay, let's observe carefully. Let's observe. It has an extra server client. Server client. Why is there an extra one? Look carefully. Isn't there one here? Laravel server. And does it say server here? Is there a client here? Shouldn't it say client? These two cause you to have more. These two come out, right? Look, here it says editor. This place is a scam. Others don't need to look at this. So let's look at this CPC one. It only has these two files, right? Pay attention to naming conventions. Pay attention to naming conventions. Check it. Just fill it in yourself. The input of this target. How does it handle naming? Just take a look and you'll understand. Okay. Then let's continue. Now pay attention. When we use the developed editor, breakpoints cannot be seen and will not be hit. Then the code execution order becomes chaotic. That is, it clearly executes too, but clearly hasn't executed yet. It jumps to the last line, then jumps to the second line. When it jumps to the fifth line, it jumps back to the second line. This is because the editor has optimized our code. So how do we avoid it? Then we can choose this more. That is more detailed configuration mode to execute. This way we can see all the information, or we can just, in this code file, enter the optimization prevention macro. There are two ways to write this optimization prevention macro. One is the Windows way. The other is the way Unreal Engine wraps for you. We can use either one. That is completely fine. Another way is that we just know in the build.cs, we toggle a switch, which is based on this module. The code files within this module. To set whether to optimize, okay? On this point we are debugging in VS. I will explain this in detail to everyone. Okay, so let's go back and look at this editor again. These two keywords, the former indicates the state of the game engine and the state of the project. The latter indicates the target being compiled. We are very confused here. Why is there confusion? Because it also includes the network mode. It has blank game projects. There are client and server. It is developed and controlled through the same set of code. That is, this Unreal game. Our client we developed the multiplayer content together. This kind of joint development is very convenient. There are also some games where the client might be written in C++ and the server written in Java. In that case, synchronization becomes more complex. These movement synchronizations, information synchronizations, these aspects are quite complex, but UE5 uses the same set of concepts for client and server development. It distinguishes through code. Whether you are currently on the server side or on the client side. This makes it extremely convenient. Basically, if you are working on a multiplayer game, you can seamlessly downgrade to a single-player game. If you change a single-player game to a multiplayer game, it becomes a bit more complicated. You need to make code, compatibility, modifications, but that's not a problem either. And at the same time, it also has an editor, right? So in this case, our compilation target becomes more complex, so we are mainly dealing with the latter, where the compilation target is more complex, and we should not start the server directly in VS. Do not start the server this way. Do not start the server like this. You won't be able to start it. It will report an error. It will prompt you that there is a problem. You should be in the editor. Using this internal server or a dedicated server, starting in this client mode, like this, you can still debug the server code and the client code. It's the same line of code. It might execute twice because the server executes first or the client executes first. It will break once. Then when the other side executes, it will break once. If you are simulating 2 players, it might execute 3 times. That's the situation. Don't run it directly. You can run it directly, but you can use some special methods. Run it directly here, but doing it this way will cause problems. There will be potential issues. You need to copy some assets to do this. This will cause problems. So it's not recommended. I won't tell you exactly how to do it. Okay, finally, let's look at this combination of two. It actually ends up like this. If you choose this debug mode, there should be a gam missing here. Yeah, a gam is missing here. It should be fine. And this here is the debug, the most powerful mode, right? Then next is debug game. Just trust the debug. Both the engine and the game can be debugged. Debug game only debs the game code. Development is the normal development mode. And shipping mode lacks a lot of things, like the console log and such. We often ask a question, how do I output logs in the shipping build? You can. If I were that expert, I would ask you, are you using the development engine or the shipping engine, or what's the situation? Then you can use build.cs to do some configuration, and then you can output logs, right? This is exactly it. This is a question often seen in group chats. We'll expand on this in detail later. Okay, then there's test. This is the first one. This parameter, it affects. This is the second parameter. If it is blank, then it becomes a game. A game, there is a pitfall here. There is a pitfall here. That is, if you run it this way, are you running cooked assets? There is a pitfall here. You need to pay attention to it yourself. Okay, so this is the editor. Cleanse, we have emphasized these two before. You need to provide this design file. He only then realized that he needed to target editing. And this is a combination of quantities. That is, we extracted it from the official documentation. That is to say, there are some editing targets that cannot be built for shipping and test. How could the editor allow you to build test packages and shipping packages? The editor does not allow you to ship. That is, you can use the editor to make things. You can sell games made with the editor, but you cannot sell the editor itself. That is, you need Epic's license to modify and distribute the editor. Such a release corresponds to that meaning. So anyway, generally speaking, it means using debug editor to load the game. But this method is very slow. This method requires a lot of loading. It's because none of it is optimized. The loading speed, the running speed might be a bit slower, but if the computer specs are good, it's fine. Because in this case, the information we see is the most complete, the most simplified workflow. Anyway, just use this. If you use this to launch the editor, and at the same time, you use VS here, started the editor, then you try to launch it by double-clicking, you will find that you launched it this way. The editor has issues, cannot find blueprint, or blueprint nodes are missing, or it asks you to recompile. These are just... You still need to switch back to this, the element editor, so when you run it under VS editing, only then will it match the default blueprint runtime. The two are compatible. So this is my strange experience, summarized experience. Okay, so that's the thing about VS compilation. I finished explaining it to everyone. These several compilation modes. Right. Anyway, we usually just use developer editor. Sometimes we use DebugGame Editor. Just these two modes. Yes, we need to launch with the editor. Then you can directly launch DebugGame and it will be blank. It will be blank. For a blank development build, it only launches the game without the editor. This way you can also launch the game directly. It's the same as launching the game in the editor, but you didn't load the pack in the pit. This has pitfalls. I've forgotten the specific pitfalls. Anyway, if you want to load the pack like this, it might not load. You don't need to test it. I've made this mistake before. Anyway, there are some pitfalls. When you see our brief introduction to hot reload later, you'll understand. Okay, then we're done with this chapter. For this chapter on VS editing types, the most important thing is to remember this pairing. This way, what does it actually mean? What kind of work does it make your UBT and UHT do? What are they? Just let us do it. That's enough. In this chapter, we will cover the basic engine architecture and basic concepts for everyone. We might have covered it a bit hastily, but more or less. Finally, let's take a look at the official documentation. Let's talk about this part. How to create C++ files and such. We'll cover that next time. These should be similar to what's in our documentation. Okay, here are some potential issues. You can ignore them. Sometimes I refresh the project out of time. Just refresh it directly. Okay, this chapter is finished. In the next chapter, we will cover some programming concept. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you, everyone.